Alrighty, y'all. Welcome to the January edition of our YDSC Young Democrats of South Carolina orientation. We try to do this every month to allow new members to ask questions. I do see some of our old members, aka the people who've been around for a while or that are current members on, but this is mainly for our new members to ask questions and talk about or to see if how to better get themselves involved. We do have a few new people signed up to join, so I am very curious if they will hop in. So we are going to be telling you about Young Democrats of South Carolina and kind of what all we do for the state and everything else. And so we'll start with going around the room and just introducing yourself. If you can share your name, your pronouns, if you're comfortable. And then we like to try to do a visual description for anyone who is visually impaired. So I will do that here since I was just doing kind of the instructions. So, and then say where you're from. So my name is Jenny Atchley, she, her. I am a white female with dark hair with blue glasses wearing a red shirt on a blue background with pictures. And I am in the Low Country Young Democrats chapter. So I am going to send this over to our first vice president, Sam Grant. Oh yeah, and I'm the president of Young Democrats of South Carolina. So I'm going to send it over to Sam.
Hi, everyone. We just like to thank you for being here today. So I am wearing a blue polo shirt and glasses. I'm an African-American male. My name is Samuel Grant. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm from the Low Country chapter. And I guess I will send it over to our secretary today.
Hey everyone, my name is Shade. I'm a Black female with pink glasses. I am, like Sam said, the secretary of the Young Democrats of South Carolina and also the secretary and treasurer of the Young Democrats of Greenville County, obviously from the Greenville chapter, and my pronouns are she, her. I can send it over to Zadia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm Zadia. I'm a Black female. I am still very new to the Young Democrats. I actually met today at a holiday party last month. And I'm wearing a neon yellow hoodie in my bedroom with a green background. And my pronouns are she, her. Who should I pass it over to next?
I think we can pass to Amy.
Okay.
Hey guys, I am Amy Lauren Scott. I am she, her pronouns, and I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I am a member of the Low Country Young Democrats, where I serve as the secretary. Description of me is I am a white female with light brown hair, and I'm wearing a cream colored pullover shirt. And I am going to send it over to Kirsten.
Hey, I am Kirsten Pruitt. I'm a white female, kind of light brown hair and a messy ponytail. I have a white background behind me with a clock. I am the chair of the Young Democrats of Greenville County. So I'm from Greenville. And let me see. I will send it to Austin.
Austin, you're on mute.
Thank you, Kirsten. Good morning, Sandlappers. My name is Austin Jackson. I am a Black man with that is wearing a light blue shirt and dark blue glasses. I am sitting on my beige couch in front of a beige black bookshelf at my apartment in Columbia, South Carolina. I am a member of the Young Democrats of the Central Midlands. I am also the deputy parliamentarian for the executive council, which is our leadership of the Young Democrats of South Carolina, and the chair of the Progressive Caucus in the YDSC. and I will pass it on to, oh God, who's still here? Have we heard from Tanisha?
I'm Tanisha, and I'm from Sumter, South Carolina. I am a Black female wearing black glasses, a gray jacket, and I just recently joined the Sumter Clarendon Young Democrats.
All right, thank you, Tanisha. We're happy to have you here. So next we can go to Justin.
Hi, my name is Justin Bennett. I am African American. I used to was in the Low Country. Now I moved to Greenville. I'm not part of the Young Democrat, but I might join. The reason why I'm reaching out to the out because I'm thinking about, well, I'm going to run for U.S. House and Congress. Don't know what district yet, but I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Justin. We're happy to have you. So I'm pretty sure all that's left is our special guest for today, Quentin.
Let me see. All right, can folks hear me?
Yes.
Hey everybody, I am Quentin Wathum-Ocama, he, him, his. I am a African American male. I'm wearing a black hat and a light beige shirt. My pronouns are he, him. I don't know if I said that. And I am the president of Young Democrats of America. And I am just here to hang out with y'all today for a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. And so we're going to tell you a little bit of history of Young Democrats of South Carolina and just talk a little bit about getting involved in your local chapter. So the Young Democrats of South Carolina previously was called the South Carolina Young Democrats under the old organization. And in 2012 or so, it came back to life. So this is actually our 10-year anniversary of being in existence. So yay, go us. We're 10 years old. So we're about to hit, or we just hit our double digits. So go us. We have chapters across the state, but not in every county. We're still building. To build a chapter, you need 5 members to start a chapter, and you can start it within your own county or up to 3 counties that connect to each other. We have 5 caucuses across the state. We have our Black Caucus, our Women's Caucus, LGBTQ Caucus, Progressive Caucus, and Environmental Caucus. We have 7 elected officers, and those positions are actually up for election this year. It's our president, first vice president, second vice president, secretary, treasurer, and national committee member. And we have 2 national committee members. We are a chapter of the Young Democrats of America, and we work in collaboration with the South Carolina Democratic Party, the South Carolina High School Democrats, the South Carolina College Democrats, and the South Carolina Democratic Women's Council. We work to elect Democrats. We work to train the next generation of Democrats, aka the current generation of Democrats. We work a lot with training people on Robert's Rules of Order, training people on how to advocate at the State House, training people on how to run campaigns, training people on how to be candidates, and then also linking people to jobs on different campaigns, so different opportunities they may have. And as y'all know, campaign season is kicking off, so that is super fun. And I'm going to let our first vice president talk a little bit more about our organization, our caucuses, before we go over to our guest speaker, and so he can talk about his journey. But Sam is our youngest ever vice president, and I want him to talk about being a very young vice president and how he got started in the Young Democrats of South Carolina in his journey.
All right, so just talk about my journey a little bit. So I started I joined YDSC about roughly a year ago. So last January, it was around the time I started becoming interested in politics. And I heard Jenny talking about Young Democrats of South Carolina on the podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, this seems cool. Let me check it out. So I would have never imagined that a year later I would be first vice president. But I'm so grateful for this organization. It's given me a lot of confidence, a lot of knowledge, and just allowed me to expand my skills and knowledge when it comes to politics as a whole. If you're looking to get involved, this is like the organization to be. Like, I have had so many experiences working on campaigns, testifying at the state house. I just did testimony for redistricting not too long ago in December. So definitely, if you're looking to get involved, if you know that you want to just be a change maker or a difference maker and you don't know where to start, this is a fantastic organization to be in. So in terms of the caucuses, I am a member of the Progressive Caucus. And caucuses are great. So if you do end up deciding to join and stay in our organization and become more involved, I would definitely recommend getting into our caucuses. It's just sort of like a small group within the organization, and they have different things dedicated to the causes that we advocate for. So in Progressive Caucus, we are more towards the left, advocate for more progressive issues. And it's just been a great experience to get to meet other like-minded people. So I would definitely consider joining a caucus to get more out of the Young Democrats of South Carolina experience. And we are actually starting 2 new caucuses. We are modeling our high school and college caucus after the ones at YDA Nationals. So definitely, if you know any high school or college students who are interested, who would love to be a part of this work, we would absolutely love to have them. So that's all for me. So thank you for listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. Any of the new people on, do y'all have any questions at this time about Young Democrats of South Carolina?
And not off the top of my head at the moment. Everything seems pretty straightforward.
Awesome. We really also try to encourage people to get involved in their local county parties. So even if you are a member of Young Democrats of South Carolina, we encourage you to also get involved in your county parties. County parties are having precinct reorganization, which happens every 2 years. And that is a time for you to get to know your precinct, run for a precinct leadership position, and also become a county executive committee member. And the executive committee of every county party, they are the powerhouse of the county party. They're the ones who have the decision-making power and the voting power. So we definitely try to link you as well to your county party. And then once you get involved in your county party, you can get involved in the SCDP, which is South Carolina Democratic Party caucuses, and you can get involved with the South Carolina Democratic Party convention. And at the convention is where we elect our chair, the 3 vice chairs, and then we elect 3 DNC members. The chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party and the first vice chair are DNC members. And then we elect 3 other DNC members as well. And then when you're involved in Young Democrats of South Carolina, we elect DNC members as well. So every 2 years, we have a national convention for the Young Democrats of America, where we elect leadership within Young Democrats of America. And just recently, Quentin was elected the new president of Young Democrats of America. And then in the opposite years, we elect 2 DNC members. So the president of Young Dems of America, and then we have 2 other DNC members that represent us to the National Democratic Party. And I'm sure Quentin will talk a little bit about his experience with the DNC and the National Party. So they're advocating on behalf of the Young Democrats and just making sure our voice is heard. And they've actually made a big difference already in ensuring with I believe it was the interns of the Democratic National Committee were getting fair and equal pay, because they were paying them a salary that was not something that we advocate for in the Democratic Party. We advocate for $15 minimum wage in our platform, and they ensured that voice was heard. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on nationally and everything like that. Any of our current members, would you like to give just a small amount of input about your experience in YDSC? I know we've had Austin talk about his. Shade has been involved for Shade and Kirsten are some of our newer members. Newer, I mean, you haven't been here for 5 years. So Austin and I are on that decade long roll. Amy, you've been around for a couple of years, but I didn't know if Shade and Kirsten, if y'all wanted to share a little bit about yours.
Yeah, I can share. So I got involved, I guess it would have been 2020. So I'm going on like 2 years now. We said newer members. I was like, wait, 2 years. It seems like it's been a long time. Because I've had so many opportunities to do different things. Like Jenny was talking about, going to Young Democrats of America's national convention back in August. Getting to do that was really exciting. And I've learned just so much that I'm able to use within my county party and as the chair of the Young Democrats at Greenville County. And just the people in YDSC are some of my favorite people, and I'm very grateful for this community. I just feel like it's really supportive, and no matter like what sort of ambitions or things that I want to do, I know that I have this amazing group of people behind me. So I think that's really great as well. So I recommend it to anybody who's looking to get more involved in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I can go next. I'll keep it short. I've also been involved for about 2 years now. As soon as I moved here from New York, got involved with my county party, but was kind of looking for a younger crowd. That's how I got involved with the Young Democrats of Greenville County and eventually YDSC. Ran for secretary. It's been a wild ride, amazing group of people, definitely supportive, and would recommend it to anyone looking to get involved.
10 out of 10, highly recommend, as Sam has taught me. Amy, were you about to say something?
Sure, I'll speak. I got involved in 2019. I found this group because I kind of was starting to get involved with my county party and the primaries for the 2020 presidential election. And it's been really great. And especially during COVID and the pandemic, I love how we have all of this online so we can stay connected even when things were more locked down. And it's neat to meet friends from all over the state. So, I feel like I know people in Greenville and Columbia and all now. And the YDA convention in Cincinnati, it was really wonderful. And it was good to, meet so many people in person and talk to Young Democrats from all over the country. And it's good to know that you have like-minded friends, especially right now, because as a lot of us young people know, I mean, it can be really hard to make friends once you're out of school. So that's to me my story.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. All righty. And then Austin, anything you'd like to share?
Okay, so I'll keep it brief since I went at left in the first one. So like I said the first time I spoke at the first orientation, I'm actually one of our longest standing members. But frankly, what keeps me going in this organization, frankly, is the people, the people that make this a community, that the people that make this a family. And frankly, one of the reasons why I was able to stand in front of a committee of senators the other day and tell them to support a map that doesn't entirely screw over the people of South Carolina was because of the incredible courage that my caucus members and some of the people on this call today showed in previous meetings. That courage cascades, and once we have, and that's and that's what's keeping this organization up. All of you. So welcome to the Young Democrats.
Awesome, thank you. And then I'll turn it over to Sam to introduce our guest.
All right, everybody. So as we said, we do have a special guest present, the president of Young Democrats of America, Quentin Wathum-Ocama. So unfortunately did not get to meet Quentin since I wasn't at the convention, but I was keeping up with the election, and the slate he ran on YDA Reimagined was like incredible. So I was definitely looking forward to his administration and all the great things that they would be doing. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our Nationals president, Quentin.
Hey, everybody. First of all, thank you all for having me today. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for showing up on a Saturday early afternoon. It's noon here. I think it's okay to say, yeah, afternoon. Really appreciate y'all taking time out of your day to come to this and learn more about the Young Democrats of South Carolina. And really start digging in. I love that you all do these monthly orientation sessions. I think it's really, really helpful for young Dems to kind of understand the landscape that they are going to be engaging in. So with that, I just want to talk to you all a little bit about kind of my journey in Young Dems and how I got started. As folks know, I live in St. Paul, Minnesota, joining you from a very snowy Minnesota. Today it snowed like a foot last night, so I was out shoveling. Good times. So I actually got involved, in high school. I'm old enough. I'm gonna say I'm old enough that I was somebody who got involved. The Obama campaign, my senior year in high school, 2008. Believe it or not. Was really excited. I had never volunteered on a campaign before. I had never done any sort of electoral work. I was 17, so it was, this is all pretty fresh, and I loved it. And I really loved the idea, the community and the organization. And I actually founded my high school Dems chapter because I didn't want it at the end. I wanted us to keep on going. I wanted us to continue to advocate and continue to have the conversations. And I kind of did that in isolate. I didn't do that with any, oops, sorry, on my work computer and someone's calling me. I kind of did that in isolate. So I didn't do that with any any outside of kind of our Young Dem structure. And then I found out once the election was over, that there was a whole Young Dems network in Minnesota, the Minnesota Young DFL. And I got so excited. I started attending our conventions. I started attending our events, and I loved it. I had really great folks who were there to talk about the issues, who were interested in doing electoral work in Minnesota, which I'm sure you all know. It's a pretty it's like your state. There's a lot of different kind of communities. There's lots of variation depending on where you are in the state, right? And we, luckily for us, there were some special elections and things like that. And I got just super involved, and it was such a fantastic time. I went to my first national Young Dems convention, right after I graduated high school. Believe it or not, it was 2009. It was, and then I just once I was kind of going and in and was engaged in all this stuff, I just kind of kept going. I kind of just kept engaging. I just really fell in love with the organization and the work that we were able to do. I think for us, especially in Minnesota, it wasn't just the electoral work, but also the advocacy work we were able to do, the party reform work we were able to advocate for. And that's what really got me passionate about Young Dems. And what, when people how did I get here today, is I started just like as any other member, showing up to meetings. And I just kept on going and going to the next thing and next thing, and getting passionate, getting knowledgeable about the things that affected not just, us as young people, but the things that affect our organizations, right? Because we also need to be good stewards of our organizations and think about how we're making things better and leaving a better young Dems for whoever comes after us. And I did that, and I became our Minnesota Young DFL president, and oh, seems like forever, 2015. And I was also, elected YDA secretary, and that same year. And I have just been doing this work and advocating and engaging ever since. But really, for me, it was just, a campaign that got me excited, and I didn't want to lose that energy. I didn't want to lose that camaraderie. I didn't want to lose those friendships, and I wanted to figure out a way that we could bottle that up. And it was me starting a local high school chapter, and that's what really led me to where I am today. And I think that's the great thing about young Dems is you never know like where it's all going to end up, right? You can meet friends for life. You can become passionate about something maybe you didn't know about because you're exposed to these different elements of the campaign and political world and the party building world. Or it's I think that's something that's really really awesome and magical, and I think great. It's just, I obviously I like this enough that I'm the president of the Young Democrats of America. But I think that's the beautiful thing. It's really a kind of a choose your own adventure. It is what you make out of it. It's engaging with the opportunities as they arise and as they interest you. And I think that is the best thing about engaging with young Dems. And I know Jenny and this team here in South Carolina have done such a great job of creating opportunities for engagement and for membership, and to make some change. But yeah, um, that is how I kind of got involved and why I really am passionate about young Dems. Um, so that's my little spiel for that. But maybe I'll just talk a little bit about what the Young Democrats of America is super briefly, and then open up if folks have any questions or stuff like that. So um, we are the national federation, basically, of our Young Democrat state and territorial chapters across the country. I believe we're at 49 members right now. As they mentioned, we just had our convention in August. We have a convention, oh, excuse me, every 2 years where we elect our national officers. And then in between them, we try to do our best to provide programming, resources, communication, and other things to our chapters. We have meetings and conferences in between. We just had a digital conference in December. I believe we're going to try to have a conference hopefully sometime in Q2 of this year. Hopefully, knock on some wood, where is it? That this Omicron spread and COVID finally we can get a handle on things. But yeah, so that's kind of what we do. We've been around as Young Dems since I believe 1932. And so this is an organization where folks have really they've brought together, they've come together and really have shared their thoughts on issues, tried to do some coordination. But I think the best part is really as a place for folks from across the country can come together and engage in networking. And I don't mean that in a really bougie kind of way. What I mean is engaging and sharing ideas and sharing thoughts and sharing what's working, what's not working. I think that's the thing that really got me excited about coming to Young Dems and why I came back. When I went to my first convention, we were still growing as a state chapter then. And I was able to come and talk to people from all over the country, states like New York, big states, and then, states like Texas, and then, all these different, big states, little states, red states, blue states, and hear what was working, what the work they were doing, right? And I think that was the most interesting for me is learning from those experiences and learning from my peers, right? And people who had maybe done a project that I wanted to do, or maybe had some insight on doing a thing that I like to do. I think that's the real value of Young Dems is we're this place where we all have our own things, happening at our local level, if that's at the city or the county or even the statewide level. But we come together as Young Dems and we're able to share those experiences, and we're able to kind of bond in the commonality of being Young Dems. And sometimes it may look really different. Like being a Young Dem in South Carolina, I'm sure is very different than, as a Young Dem here in, the Twin Cities, right? but there's some common links there that are just so powerful and so that like this tie us together, and being able to talk about those experiences and share those experiences really can mean the world. So that's, I think, the real beauty of the Young Dems. But outside of that, from the YDA perspective, it's really about how we are coordinating together, how we are representing to our national partners, at the DNC. I am a member of the DNC Executive Committee. We have 2 DNC reps. How we are not just representing, but how are we coming together? How are we doing that coordination? How are we thinking about what the national organization can do to support our state and territorial chapters? And how can we provide programming and resources and make sure that trickles down to our local Young Dems levels, right? We do everything through from YDA to our charter unit partners at the state level, but we want to make sure that we're touching everything. And that means making sure that we're engaging Young Dems involved in county and local chapters, or folks who may not be. So we're always trying to think about that and doing that work. And really, as we head into 2022 and 2023, it's really going to be about how are we providing supports for our state and local chapters so they can provide the resources they need to be successful, to do programming, to message, and do whatever to win, and to do whatever it is. If it's to win, to be successful, to make a dent, right? Because I think everybody's at a different stage in their journey. Some places they're not, they're competing to build, right? Like, let's be honest, there are places like that where they are running candidates or supporting candidates or doing party building right now, and that's to win in the future, just because of the dynamics of demographics in the states. And that's fine. We need to support that work. And there's some places where we're competitive and we need to win, right? That's fine too. Some places where you go to your deep blue state where they're, Dems are going to win everything, but like, how are they pushing on the next issue? How are they pushing the party forward? How are they building the infrastructure so that Young Dems are the ones that represent it? So we're all like at different places, but the goal of YDA is to support all of our units, no matter where they are at in that journey, and just to make sure that we're doing all we can to help be a place where coordination can happen, a place where resources can hopefully flow down, and for a place for information or at least shared feedback can take place. So that's kind of what we are, the Young Democrats of America. Sorry for my little ramble. I hope that was helpful.
Your rambles are always so informative, though.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Anyone have any questions for him? All right, not seeing any questions.
I don't have a question, but something I kind of forgot to also say when I was talking earlier that Quentin reminded me of, just the opportunities from YDSC too. I am on one of YDA's committees. I'm on the credentials committee. And so that's kind of cool. I was given an opportunity to participate nationally as well. So that's another cool thing about getting involved, is you can really do with it what you want. You can take it as far as you want to go, really. So, yep, I just wanted to share that.
I love it. And then for people who can't make it to these orientations, we like to share the recording as well. So like for those who can't make it, but yeah, we like to inform people of just kind of, what's going on, and all the cool reasons why you should be part of this really fun organization. Because man, there's so much bonding that happens in Young Democrats of America and Young Democrats South Carolina. Like, we do a national Secret Santa, which is really fun. There's like, everyone puts their names in, and like, you're Secret Santa with other people from different states and territories, and it's just a lot of fun, and you just build relationships over a lifetime. It's amazing. Anybody from current members have any questions for Mr. President?
Yeah, I have one. Maybe you mentioned this already, but do you have any aspirations, I guess, to run in the future?
Me personally?
Yeah,
For what? Like office?
yes.
I don't know. It's weird in St. Paul. So like, because like I'm in a deep blue place and we're a caucus state, so like there's a lot. I don't necessarily have aspirations for like the state legislature or anything like that. You know, I always tell people, and it's hard because I work for the school district. I would love to be on school board maybe one day, and I think I'm engaged and really involved. But also that means I could not do my job, and I love my kids too much and the work I do with families. But you never know. Like school board, Howell City Council, but it's not something that I actively think about. You know, people have approached me over the years, but I'm like, so that's always something that interests me and is in the back of my mind. But it's kind of like this: if the fates open a lot, it will happen, and opportunities. But I'm happy kind of being an activist right now and getting to be an educator too and work with my kids. But I think school, honestly, and I know that's weird, like school board, really, like, but like that's where my passion is. And I think if there was ever opportunity for me to step up and run for a school board seat, I think I'd jump at it because I am tired of, especially this school year, I'm tired of bad policy affecting our families, our students, and our children. And I think that is something that would get me really passionate. And I could see myself just loving engaging in that work and engaging with families and community and our students in a meaningful way. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's a great question though. No one ever really asked me that.
Thanks, Quentin.
Jonah, Amy, so you turn cameras on. Any questions?
I think that's awesome about, potentially ever running for school board. I mean, you never know where life will take you and when you may get a chance or may, it might be the right time for you to step up. And I mean, we've had tons of school controversies here in Charleston, especially this last year with of course, like the COVID pandemic and all that everybody's going through, but with school board trying to privatize services and stuff here in Charleston. And I mean, some of the offices like city council, school board, that's the most important offices. Those are the ones that are closest to our everyday lives and the legislation that affects us more necessarily than something going on at the state or national level. So, I mean, that's definitely the kind of positions that I would love to see more young Dems get into.
Absolutely, I agree, and I agree with you there. I think too, and I think something that Jenny, who's our campaign chair, will have to think about is how we're actually supporting our chapter is in supporting that work, because there's a lot of statewide and federal races that are down the pipe. There's so much on the plate in 22. But we also got to recognize where our manpower and our human power is in like getting that done, right? And so where can we make a really direct impact? And like local races, city council, town commissions, boards of education, county commissions, those are really places where you can have really direct impact on in people's lives like immediately, right? I've worked for a school district when there's been new policy and like the change in what that meant for students and families. Like it was immediate and felt, and it can make a really positive change or really negative change. So I think the question is, how are we as young Dems supporting that? And that's also for us, if we're thinking about those federal races, those statewide races, that's that bench building that people always talk about. We got to get people elected into those local races, and state legislature is important. Federal and state races are important. I'm not going to say don't do anything with those, but we also have to find that balance of making sure that when there are young people, especially who are running for those local offices, that we are putting in a little bit of elbow grease and giving them the TLC that they need to be successful, because that's how we build a bench. That's how we do some really direct, immediate impact on people's lives. And I think that is just so important,
And they can be really close races. We just had it's still going on because there's going to be a runoff, but a city council election here in Charleston. And the Democratic, it's a nonpartisan race, but the Democrat candidate, she is actually the chair of Berkeley County Democrats and was endorsed, I guess, sort of. She missed the runoff by 3 votes. So, I mean, it can be really close sometimes in these elections. And that's really going to impact us if we end up with another nut job man on Charleston City Council, which it looks like we will now. But I mean, we've all got to, do our part and stay involved. And you are not old, Quentin. Seriously, you're talking about the Obama campaign, and I'm sitting here thinking like, my first vote was Carrie Edwards when I was 19. So I'll say like Obama, way more exciting than Carrie Edwards.
Go ahead, Jonah.
To clarify the reason I turned my camera on, I was like, I realized that Quentin's the only person with a camera on. I feel like this is very rude on the part of all the rest of us.
Totally fine. It's a Saturday.
That I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I don't think I have COVID, but I'm going to test myself today. But one thing I would really love to see YDSC and YDA do is to really figure out how to inspire people to really care about the local and state election, because people really only care about the presidency. Our votes only slightly have an indirect effect on that. We vote for the electors to vote on presidency. And our vote is one out of maybe 100 million people who actually vote on it, or about 100 million people who vote on the presidency. And that's not even what affects our lives so much more. That's the local stuff. That's where 100 or a few hundred votes can be a freaking landslide. And that's where the decisions about what the teachers can teach, what flexibility the teachers have, where does the road construction go, what kind of tax breaks do businesses get, environmental protections, things like that. Like, there's so much stuff that we can affect so much more at the local and state levels. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a terrible hypocrite. I know so little about local politicians, local candidates. So little. It's honestly embarrassing. But if we can, I would love to see efforts to get the word out and inspire people to really care about these things and to understand why their votes are so much more important in these. And just, and learn more about what we can do to really make a difference in the party and in our communities. And I guess also, what are your thoughts on all that? How to do all that?
That's really interesting. And I think for me, and this is a conversation that I've been having with some folks, I think it's an idea of like, we need, and it's the conversation is what do we actually do as young Dems? Like, what is the purpose of this organization? And it makes me think about like, how are we also like, I think we assume a lot of things when people get involved in these kind of organizations that like, oh, they're with us on these things. But I think really important for me, and I'm a teacher, right? So like, I always kind of look through this lens. And what I'm hearing from you and what makes me think about is like, how are we like actively providing like education and opportunities to talk about these things, right? Like, yes, let's talk about campaigns and issues and all that, but like, how are we actually like getting back almost down like to some basic level of like civics 101? And I mean that like, how are we like looking at like how like what happens at the local level, right? And I know it's hard from a national organization to do, right? Because like every state is different, there's different laws, but like the idea for me is how are we actually engaging, creating opportunities for folks to come, inviting folks and to talk about these kind of things, to talk about local policy, to talk about the impact of what the city council can have, how the impact of like how levies and that system works, like in places that have tax levies. So for me, it's an idea of like, how are we supporting Young Democrat chapters to do kind of that education, that make sure they have people who can come and talk about it and who can engage in really conversation, because we're not like we're not all knowledgeable about everything, right? Like it's not, I don't think it's on you or anybody here to be an expert on everything from local to federal politics, to be a historian, also to be a campaign expert guru or a financial guru, all these things. Like that's not it. So we need to make sure that we're taking the time when all of these things come out, and we need to think about, right, what these different kind of pillars are. And we need to talk about them, and we need to do education about them, and we need to do programming around them. And sometimes that might not interest everybody, but that's going to interest a certain subset where they can learn and get those skills and feel more confident in their role. And I think that's just what we need to be thinking about. And I think specifically about that, like the aspects of like local politics, the aspect of local policy change, how even the aspect of state policy change. Like in my state, I would love to do a training, and I need to talk to my president about administrative rules that our state legislature does, and like kind of the different boards and commissions, so that we can actually go and testify and make change and like advocate when there are different things that come for different bodies to talk about. I think we just need to we need to take the time to talk about that, and I think that's a real value in the Young Dems, because we already have a network of people who are politically engaged, who want to make change. But just, I think so much we looked into that electoral and party lens, and for me it's always thinking about the advocacy and the conversation that we can be having, and it's just like, how do we support that work, and how do we encourage states and territories to do that work? And sometimes it's modeling too, right? Somebody has to do it first and do a really great program. So there's actually a conversation I was actually having last week with somebody about how do we do that and make something that is modelable and recreatable, and then that we can provide support so that we are actually talking about these things. And I think that's it. But like, it's just everybody comes in with a different focus. Like I come from the field side of campaigns, right? And like finance is still something that is relatively new to me, and I'm still learning. So when I have those opportunities to engage in trainings or engage, like I'm always doing that, because that's just who we are, right? I think that's always just kind of like figuring out like, where am I feeling strong, and like when there are things like, oh man, like I don't know what, I'm not getting that, like, well, how am I supplementing that, but also how are the organizations that I am in and involved in supplementing that? And I think that's a good way, because now we're not just building like good people who can go knock doors or do this, but we're actually building really great the idea of like that civic engagement, and creating kind of that idea of a whole citizen, right? The person who can engage in the politics, but also is there and engage in their community in a way that makes sense, that is knowledgeable, who can really advocate for the needs of their community. Sorry, that was a rant. That was definitely a rant.
I feel like Jonah and you could really have some deep conversations. Jonah likes to ask a lot of questions, but they're really insightful questions.
Thank you. And yes, I think Quinn and I could have some very interesting conversations that need to be recorded.
Yeah.
For sure. Hit me up, man.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Pardon my language.
No, you're good. Just hit me up on Facebook if you ever want to have a chat. I'd love to just dive in, for real.
Yeah. Heck yes. Also, I should mention, I'm gonna turn my camera off. It's gonna look weird. I should also mention that Peyton White, a new member of Young Dems of South Carolina, or Young Dems Greenville County, he wishes he could be here, but I think he's got work. So.
All good. Well, that's it from us today about just a little bit about YDSC and everything. And basically, Justin, I see you're still on here. Justin, I'm excited to hear more about you running for office, and what office you'd be looking into running for, and learning about that. And hopefully you join up with one of these chapters and get involved in the Young Democrats and go from there.
Oh,
any questions, Justin? Alrighty, seeing none. Jonah, yeah?
Something that I was actually talking to him about, Peyton, was about getting Young Democrats, getting YDSC or getting YDA involved with high school Democrats. talking to the if they have a Democratic Party group in the school, then connecting people with people there. And I feel like, obviously when you're in school, it's way easier for you to make friends, for you to connect with people. You've got, different clubs, you've got, chess club, or, or I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh club or board club, whatever. But it's also just if we're allowed to go in, that's a really good place where people are learning about the issues and starting to really be, and some of them are developing strong, like, oh my God, I really want to do something about this, and they can't vote. They, so which really limits how much influence, one, politicians allow them to have in governance, and two, how much influence they feel like they can have, which means that they're not motivated to learn more. But if we give them a way they can get connected with other people who are just as dedicated to the issues as they are, but more knowledgeable, or in some cases less knowledgeable. If they're super knowledgeable kids. I know one kid, he just turned 18. I met him when he was 16. Smartest person under the age of 45 I've ever met, I think. Incredibly intelligent. But if we can get them connected, and if we can give them opportunities to get involved with what I call direct volunteering, trash pickup, litter pickup, Habitat for Humanity, food distribution, whatever else, and involved with, learning about protests that they can go to, or rallies. I feel like that could really help foster motivation and a reason for them to learn more and to get more involved and to care more about these things. So they're not just saying, well, I can't vote, so what's the point in learning more? Well, there's all these other ways you can get involved. And I feel like that would be a really cool way to get more people involved. I had something else I was going to say, but I cannot remember what it was. I will let you know if I remember it.
All righty, y'all. Well, that's it from us today, and I hope y'all have a great weekend. South Carolina's getting its first snowstorm. Woo! We're gonna get a little bit of snow and ice on the road, so everyone's freaking out and buying everything from the grocery store,
including the gloves.
I can actually attest to that. I'm actually about to head into work right now. God help me.
Yeah, so panic has set in. Q, you would make fun of us.
Oh man, yeah, it's like I said, it's snowed like 10 inches last night. They didn't even call a snow emergency. That means they ain't even gonna come out and plow.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye, y'all. Anytime.
All right, thank you, everybody.